Hey everyone, Teo here. In this video, I want to tell you how you can get started with urban sketching using a tablet and why you should start urban sketching. So I started urban sketching in 2009, so that's about 15 years ago. And I wish I started earlier because it is so fun, and over the years I have made many friends because the urban sketching community is actually huge. There are many chapters around the world, and you know that heightened sense of awareness you get when you are a tourist overseas. Well, with urban sketching you can actually get that experience every single day. So today I'm at Haji Lane, and it seems like almost every time I come back, there are new shops and new decorations. I remember sketching here many years ago, and one of the restaurant owners actually came out to offer me a free drink because it was so ridiculously hot, and today's weather is also very hot and humid. Urban sketching is actually not just about the art, but much of the enjoyment actually comes from the experience of being outdoors, being present. And when you are constantly looking for things to draw, you're almost like a tourist, which is how you actually get that tourist mood all the time. To get started, you will obviously need a tablet, but more importantly, the tablet needs to have active pen support. By active pen support, I mean the pen that you are using should at least support pressure sensitivity, and the pen and tablet should support palm rejection. So with pressure sensitivity, this allows you to draw thin and thick lines, and with palm rejection, this allows you to rest your palm on the display while you are drawing without introducing stray strokes. So generally speaking, I would usually recommend people get an iPad with Apple Pencil or a Samsung Galaxy tablet with the S Pen, because the Apple Pencil and the S Pen, they support palm rejection and pressure sensitivity. If your tablet does not advertise pen support, chances are it's not going to support an active stylus, and hence the drawing experience is not going to be ideal, because the alternative to an active stylus is actually those dumb stylus with the rubber tip or the disc tip, and drawing experience with those stylus is just not great. Other accessories that are good that I recommend for urban sketching would be having a hat and also having a portable stool that allows you to sit anywhere. This to me is a must-have, and I have used this, as you can see, for many years, to the point that this is so worn out. Alright, let's go look for a quieter place to sketch so that I can show you guys how to draw. If you are a beginner, I would actually recommend you start by sketching in an actual sketchbook first, especially so if you don't already have a tablet, because I don't want you to go out and buy a tablet specifically for drawing, only to realize 1 or 2 months later that you actually don't like drawing. But having said that, having a tablet is always useful even if you don't draw on it. I actually do not mind sketching in crowded places. It's just that those places can get very noisy, which is not great for audio recording. And that's the southern mosque behind, by the way. So this area is called Kampong Glam, and I just remembered I had actually created some sketching course, a watercolor sketching course here a few years ago. And I also have some digital sketching courses as well if you guys want to learn more about urban sketching. I have actually sketched this red building before using a reference photo, and sketching with a photo reference versus sketching on location is very different. Different as in there are certain things that you can only know when you're on location. For example, this place is crowded with tourists, and unless you look around, you probably won't be able to tell just by looking at a photo. And it's lunchtime, so the two restaurants there and there are packed. And when you're on location, you can also discover interesting places and shops. You will also learn more about the places that you visit. Alright, let's start. For this sketch, I will not be using any drafting lines. I'm just going straight with ink. And because this is digital, if you make any mistakes, you can actually just erase those mistakes. Now, if you tell me you cannot draw, I'm going to say that that is not true at all. You just need to learn to draw, because drawing is actually a skill that can be learned. Imagine if you are learning a new language and you want to write in that new language, you will have to see how the characters, the script, or the letters are written, how they look, before you can write them yourself. So drawing is actually quite similar in the sense that you have to see what's in front of you before you can draw, or before you can draw from imagination. You must know how something looks before you can draw from imagination. And the most difficult part about drawing is actually your mind telling you how some things should look versus you drawing from what you see. For example, in your mind, a tree may look like this, but the tree that I have in front of me actually doesn't look like this. So I have to actually copy what I see in front of me, copy how the tree actually looks, so that I can draw accurately. And you don't actually need to draw that accurately. You just need to draw in such a way that it looks like the scene. So you can use your artistic license to change up certain things, but you can apply your own style to your drawing. You don't have to draw like that accurately, even though you can. It's just going to take a lot of time. So drawing is actually a skill that can be learned. I mean, it's not that difficult. Like seriously, it's not that difficult. You just have to find the correct learning source material, correct learning material. When you are a beginner, you are definitely going to make some mistakes when you draw, and that is okay. Actually, the more mistakes you make, the faster you will learn. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. I mean, like, what's the cost of making mistakes? It doesn't really matter if your sketch looks bad. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all, because the more you sketch, the better you will get. Remember the first few times when you learned to swim and you gobbled a lot of water, or when you tried to learn how to ride a bicycle and you fell down several times before you could even balance on the bicycle, before you could even move. So you have to spend the time to learn. Otherwise, how do you learn? This is one of the challenges with sketching on location. People blocking your view, which happens like all the time. Your first few sketches are going to look horrible. My first few sketches are just terrible. I don't even dare to look at them today. But the thing is, the more you sketch, the better you will get. When you get better with drawing, there will always be this sense of satisfaction when you see how much you have improved. And drawing is actually really fun once you get the hang of it, because there are so many different techniques to learn. And if you are into traditional media, there are so many different types of tools you can use. With digital, there are many different brushes you can use, and the colors are all free. You don't have to buy paint. Yeah, so you can actually learn to draw much faster with digital compared to traditional, because there's just no limitation with digital. If you don't like the sketch you have drawn, just create a new file. Just delete the file, which I don't actually recommend, but just create a new file. I don't recommend you delete old files, because it's good to see how much you have improved. So if you have kept an archive of the sketches you have done when you just started, and you compare it, you see how much you have improved years later, it is actually really satisfying. to see the progress. Another thing I really like about urban sketching is it will make you feel more confident, not just with your drawing, but also when you are interacting with other people, because chances are when you're sketching, it is quite likely for people to come up and stand behind you to see what you are drawing, and sometimes they may share interesting information regarding the place, which actually happened to me several times. And I remember sketching here a few years ago with my friends, and it started raining and we had to pack up our watercolor sketchbook, the kit, and start running for the shelter. It was some years ago, and it was really great memories. So these are the things you can remember when you sketch on location. By the way, the app that I'm using is Concepts. Let me just move this line up slightly. So that's a tourist looking at the restaurant menu. Oops. Okay, looks better this way. Let's continue. Oh, drawing is a very productive activity. I mean, it's better to draw than scroll on social media. So when you're waiting at the restaurant and you happen to have your sketchbook or your tablet, that could be a time to sketch. When you're waiting for your flight at the airport, when you're waiting at the train station, when you're just waiting for your friend, there is time to sketch. So sketching is definitely better. It's a better use of time compared to just scrolling aimlessly on social media. And after several years of sketching, you would definitely have a good archive of work to look through. Speaking of archive, let me just show you some of the sketches that I have drawn over the years. So this was drawn a few weeks ago at Changi Airport, Singapore. I was there to create a drawing course. So this course is actually on travel sketching, and it's about travel sketching at the airport. And this was drawn at Chinatown. This was actually very challenging to sketch. This took me about maybe an hour to draw in color. This was drawn on the train. This was drawn with me seated on the seat. And this was drawn with me standing, so you can see the perspective. It's looking down. This was drawn at the skate park. This was drawn while waiting for our food to arrive. Oh, actually our food has already arrived. It's just, all my friends, they love to sketch and they just can't stop sketching even when the food is there. Yeah, so these are some of the sketches that I have created over the years, and if you start drawing now, you can collect all these sketches, you can collect all these memories that you will remember for the rest of your life. You don't even need to refer to the sketches to remember all these memories. And that's the brilliant thing about sketching versus taking a photograph. You don't have to refer to the sketches to remember them, because when you spend, like in this case, 2 hours or 3 hours standing and sketching a place, you will be able to remember the place so much more vividly. Yeah, that is something you cannot do with a photograph. So this is the completed line art. When you start, just focus on getting the line art to look good. If your line art doesn't look good, adding colors later on is not really going to help with your line art. So now I can color this. I'm just going to color this really simply. Sometimes when you sketch, you may not have the time to create a detailed sketch, so you just create a very simple sketch. And sometimes when the sketch is simple, it can be quite fun to look at as well. I just remember something about this scene. There used to be this logo here for the sushi restaurant, which is called Sushi Airways. So the wings will be beside the circle, but that logo has been removed for some reason. Let's draw the windows. So these are some of the very mundane, useless information that you may remember when you are sketching. Like, who would remember that there's a logo there, and the logo is for the restaurant? Yeah, you wouldn't know unless you sketch. And now I'm seated at a new location because I was told to move away from the front of the shop that was opening up. And it's part of the experience. Sometimes the experience will be positive, sometimes it will be negative, and this is a neutral experience. Yeah, so sometimes you may not have the time to complete your sketch. For me, I will just take a reference photo and just go back home to work on my sketch. But I would prefer to at least complete the line art on location, because urban sketching is really about sketching on location. And now there's a big truck blocking my view, but thankfully I've already completed my sketch. So this is how my sketch looks, and I'm glad that I actually have a person standing here just to create some activity. So the style is very sketchy. This is a very loose and sketchy sketch. It's not that detailed. A sketch can be as detailed as you want it to be. It's just how much time you want to spend on drawing. And I'm not very particular about coloring within the shapes or the lines. So you can see the colors, they often would just spill out like this. Again, if you want to draw accurately or color very accurately, it really comes down to how much time you want to spend. Alright, I feel like I want to add a few more details here. Okay, done. Let's stop here, and it's always good to write down the name of the place and the date so that you can refer to the date and time in the future. The last tip that I have for you is, if you are a beginner, I highly recommend you practice at home first, because if you just go out and start sketching outdoors, it can be quite intimidating. Alright, so I'm done. I'm going to head off for lunch. By the way, if you guys want to learn more about urban sketching, you can check out my other YouTube channel, which is about urban sketching. And in the first week of August 2024, I will be heading to the AsiaLink Sketch Walk 2024, which is happening in Penang, Malaysia. So I will be there for 1 week to cover the event, and it's going to be so much fun. So do watch my coverage if you are interested in sketching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!